acting chair for the SAFE Advisory Committee, member and guest introductions and our normal attendance. I would just like to welcome for the first time Director Mark Pelka and our recently appointed Deputy Director Maurice Reeves. And also, I know she's not signed on yet. She has a late meeting, but I'm hoping she'll be here as well. We're going to be welcoming back State's Attorney Maureen Platt, who has been appointed by Chief Griffin as the Evidence Commission Chair. So we're lucky to have Maureen be joining us again. So hopefully we'll see here later on this afternoon. But before we give everybody an opportunity to introduce themselves and the organization that you're representing here, I would like to start with some of the highlights for the first timers. So Maurice, would you mind giving yourself a little introduction to the group and as a first-time attendee?
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you all. I look forward to working with you all in the future. My name is Maurice Reeves. I recently joined OVS at the end of September. I'm coming from the Office of Policy and Management, where I worked as the Assistant Division Director of the Criminal Justice Policy and Planning Division. And prior to that, I was a prosecutor in the New Britain Court, the GA. And I've just been blown away by Rachel daily and her enthusiasm for this program. And she's going to do amazing things. We were talking about things she wants to do even next year. So I'm just excited about working with her and working with you all moving forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Maurice. Mark?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for the chance to be part of the meeting. I've had the privilege of working at Judicial Branch Office of Victim Services for just under 2 years. I joined the organization as Deputy Director and thoroughly benefited from the opportunity to work with Mary Kazicki, who entered retirement at the beginning of July, and I was very fortunate to apply for and be selected to come in as director. I've been in that role for just over 3 months, and it's been a time of transition here at OVS, and we are using this as a learning process to introduce additional perspectives and expertise and backgrounds to OVS. Along with Maurice, we've had multiple program managers join us too. And everyone who has joined has remarked at the commitment and skill that all members of the OVS team bring to the work. And we are trying at OVS to emphasize the critical partnerships that exist, and because we are one part of an overall interlocking system of dedicated individuals and organizations seeking to advocate for, provide services for, and deliver information to victims of crime and survivors. And I think there is no clearer example of those critical partnerships than the SAFE program, where in every meeting I've attended, you're hearing perspectives from those in healthcare, those in victim services, those in advocacy, system-based and community-based service providers, all working as one on an issue that cuts across multiple systems. And just as the people we seek to serve find themselves suddenly confronting multiple systems, we from a larger administrative policy overarching level are seeking ways to simplify, streamline, and strengthen and support those services and programs that seek to serve victim and survivor in the aftermath of sexual assault. So I look forward to supporting this transition period that we're going through at OVS to breathe invigoration and fresh perspective into the programs and really remind ourselves that we are standing on the shoulders of dedicated individuals who, from the inception of OVS forward, have provided critical work to the various programs and services that we stand up, because we are riding in the wake of the work that they all did. So Maurice and I both have reviewed some past meeting information for the Safe Advisory Committee, and certainly learned from Rachel about them, and are very impressed with the composition of this committee and ways that it embodies the multidisciplinary approach that is necessary for a program like this to succeed. So I look forward to participating, but also listening and learning, and doing what I can outside of these meetings to partner with Rachel and Janet and other those who were other staff who work directly and indirectly to support this work. So, hope that's a helpful outset, but do want to leave the lasting message. I'm just so grateful to be attending a meeting today that I think very clearly captures the support that exists for the delivery of a medical forensic program to survivors and victims of sexual assault.
Well said, Mark. I don't think you could have said it better. We really are riding the wake of previous stakeholders to get us where we are today. We wouldn't be able to have the conversations we're having had it not been for their dedication and work that came before us. So really appreciative of that. As well said. Thank you both for the introductions. I don't see Attorney Platt on yet, so I'm going to move on to our voting members introductions first, and then we'll do guest introductions as well. I'm just going to start with whoever's at the top of my screen. So Beth, if you wouldn't mind starting us off.
Sorry, hopefully you can hear me now. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Beth Hamilton. I'm the Executive Director of the Connecticut Alliance to End Sexual Violence. Have been a part of working on this group since its inception with the SAFE program in the state of Connecticut. So I'm delighted to be here with everybody.
Thanks, Beth. Sherry?
Hi, everyone. I'm Sherry Watson, and I am representing the Connecticut Nurses Association, and I've been a part of this for a few years now.
Sherry. Robin, 2 Sierras, DPH.
Good afternoon, everyone. My camera isn't working, but I'm here. I'm Robin Tauciers. I'm from the Connecticut Department of Public Health, from the Injury and Violence Prevention Office. And I guess I'll leave it at that.
Glad to have you here, Robin. Thank you. Natasha?
Hello. I'm Natasha Pierre, the State Victim Advocate. I've been on this committee for 10 years.
Thanks, Natasha. And Marielle?
Good afternoon, everyone. Apologies. They're doing some work around the roadway here, and so I have an unstable video connection today. But I am Marielle Daniels. I work for the Connecticut Hospital Association. I'm the Director of Regulatory Advocacy there, and I have been for the whole ride of the SAFE program. So I'm glad to still be here, and I have probably some of the longest history, along with maybe Beth and a few others.
Glad you're still with us, Marielle. Couldn't have done it without you. All right, and Kristen?
Hi, I'm here. I don't know where the camera is. I'm walking into my house. I just got home from work. I'm representing currently the International Association of Forensic Nurses, and I've also been on the committee for probably about 10 years now.
Thanks, Kristen. All right, those are all of our voting members. I believe if we could then move on to our guests. Sarah Moriarty.
Hi, my name is Sarah Moriarty. I work with Robin Tauciers at the Connecticut Department of Health in the Office of Injury and Violence Prevention.
Thanks, Sarah. Melissa?
Good afternoon, Melissa Patterson. I'm with the Judicial Branch Legal Services Unit. You probably have worked with my predecessor, who is Denise Poncini. I've only been with the branch and legal services for about 6 months, but I spent 18 years as a prosecutor for the state of Connecticut, mostly in appellate, but about 1.5 years with the Conviction Integrity Unit before coming here. So this is my first meeting. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Melissa. Glad to have you here. And last but certainly not least, Janet.
I was hoping you wouldn't call on me.
Nope.
I'm Janet Mantello. I'm the administrative assistant for the SAFE program.
Awesome. And Janet, since you're record keeping, do we have a quorum for our voting of our minutes?
We have 8 people. Yep.
Thank goodness. All right. That sounds good. So moving right through our agenda, I would like to start with the August 13th, 2025 minutes. It was an in-person meeting here at the Office of Victim Services. Did everyone have an opportunity to review the minutes? And are there any suggestions for revisions or edits? And then
make a motion to approve them.
Thank you, Beth. Motion to approve the minutes made by Beth. Do I have a second?
I can second. It's Marielle.
Thanks, Marielle. All right. All in favor, say aye. Voting members?
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any nays? Any abstaining? Anyone who did not attend of the 8 members, anyone who did not attend?
Yeah, it's me, Rachel, the Sherry.
All right, Sherry and
Robin. Abstain. I wasn't in attendance.
All right, so abstaining for Robin and Sherry. All right. So it looks like we passed the vote and we'll accept the minutes from the August 13th, 2025 meeting. Moving right along. So the next agenda item is an update for myself. So the Safe Response Program has been steadily improving. Just really so proud to be a part of this group and the safes that we have doing the work in Region 1. Our safe response roster is up to 43 safes. I divide them into active and precepting safes. So we have 31 active safes, meaning safes that are cleared for independent practice, responding to calls, and 7 preceptees currently. And then there are 5 on leaves of absence and restricted duty. We have 2 active safes that are on deployment right now, and other with miscellaneous reasons. At the last meeting, I introduced the Safe Response Program progress notes and the quality assurance patient consent form for chart review. Both of those, I'm very happy to say, have made it through review with legal services and the new forms production. We've gotten those over to Culp, which is our producer of those documents, and we have them printed. We're working to implement utilizing them starting December 1st. So we'll be meeting with the safes to train them on those forms. Again, just as a reminder, we've been using hospital-based progress notes for the duration of the SAFE program. And this will really help to identify the work being done by our response program safes in the hospitals we serve. It'll alleviate some of the burden on prosecuting attorneys when they're looking at medical records to identify whether or not this is a safe from the program has done the work. And then for the quality assurance consent, this is just in an abundance of caution and wanting to make sure that the patients that we serve are aware of their rights and that their charts are being reviewed for quality assurance, getting that additional direct consent for SAFE program managers to come in and review the work to make sure that it's being quality, the safes in the program are producing quality documentation so that they can have feedback and improve their skills in that way. Those are the 2 real initiatives that we've been able to move forward with that. Additionally, me see. So both those documents have been reviewed. And we are working with purchasing to make ready the spring 2026 application for the response program by the first week in January. So we're hoping to have that application go out on a more regular, consistent basis so that those interested in joining the response program can anticipate when that will be available and hopefully result in more applications. Are there any questions or comments about any of the Safe Response Program initiatives? Okay. Right, moving right along. I'm not sure if an announcement went out, but our Safe Response training, or a safe training manager has moved on from the program in the way her current role is, and I was going to leave that off to Mark if you want to give an update for the training program.
Absolutely, yes. And Dr. Kim McKinnon was one of the first people I got to know at OVS when I started. She was one of the newer members of the team when I started, and she was very supportive, and I was immediately impressed with her commitment to education and her desire to put forward the very best product to the individual who was before her, whether it be a presentation, a training in a hospital setting, a training in the fall or spring safe training, or various public speaking engagements that she did, especially around events commemorating survivors of sexual violence. And so it was difficult to receive the news that she would be transitioning from OVS in her role as a safe training program manager. She's not somebody, as you know, like a lot of people who do this work, doesn't want a lot of fanfare, doesn't want any fanfare or recognition, just wants to put her head down and do the work, right? That's what makes this work so powerful to be part of. So she had her last day at the end of October, and worked until the very last hour with us to help support the transition. And many thanks to Rachel Henderson for her adaptability, flexibility, vision to prepare for that transition. And credit also to Rachel for doing her best to engage in cross training, to attend the fall safe training down at the St. Vincent's in Bridgeport. Played a very active role on top of a very lengthy list of duties that she attends to that were some part of which was covered in her last update. So we, as quickly as we could, we moved to post the position for program manager, and the posting has closed, and we're moving through the next steps in the recruitment process, trying to bring in the most qualified candidate for a critical role, while also doing our best to support Rachel and Janet through the transition until there is a new training program manager in that seat. As I mentioned earlier about the transitions OVS is seen on a larger scale, we're trying to approach this particular transition as a chance to engage in a learning process and identify ways to increase efficiency and effectiveness with the work. So it'll give us a chance to just review how we dedicate the personnel and operational resources we have here to be prepared for the next person to start. Kim did do quite a lot of work to prepare for the spring training, including critical connections with the models, with the trainers, with the other individuals who make the work possible. So credit to her for lining up as much as she could But we are doing our best to manage what will be a few weeks without someone in that seat. And you never know with recruitments how long the gap will be. So we're doing all we can to complete the steps that we have control over while preparing for anything, for the issues that we don't have control over through the transition. So always want to use these opportunities to recognize the individuals who make this work possible. And Dr. Kim McKinnon deserves that. And I hope that she'll remain involved or connected to the SAFE program, perhaps in a different permutation moving forward. But best wishes to her in the next steps in her career. And excited to see which candidates will have the chance to get to know better and hopefully bring onto the team. Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you, Mark. Well said. Yeah, Kim and I, we really had the best time. It was so bittersweet that you departed the program right after we had achieved so much with going to the Bridgeport location and moving the training program down there. I acknowledge that it was a tremendous feat, and we couldn't have done it without all the community supports and with Kim's willingness to be flexible and the support of the health systems and the agencies down in that area to really bring that class together. So it was a tremendous effort on everyone's part, especially Kim's, and we're really grateful that that was a success. We are going to continue on with the training regardless of the position and when it is able to be filled. There's going to be no change in the training schedules for 2026. So fear not, we're going to keep moving forward in gratitude to a lot of the work Kim did in preparation for that spring class, which will be held in Wethersfield. We're going to come back to the home base in the spring. And then we're looking to partner with additional organizations that have shown interest for that fall class to attempt to increase the number of SAFEs trained and also to overcome some of those geographic barriers that we had faced previously with the classes only being held at Wethersfield. So we'll be looking to do those things again and partner with the new training manager, hopefully come next year and move in that and continue that vision of making sure that we gain access to every possible individual to the training program to serve the people of Connecticut. So thank you. Any questions, anyone, regarding the SAFE training program or anything that Mark addressed? Okay. All right, moving right along. I'm going to turn it over to DPH and Robin and Sarah with an update on the discharge packet.
So, hang on, am I on? Okay, my mic is on, even though you can't see me. I'm here. So the Victim Services Information Brochure, where we last stood on this, I'm checking, seems to be May, when we last had this discussion. So the Victim Services Information Brochure was approved here at DPH. The only codicil on that is it's approved. The large document is approved for the Victim Services staff and the SAFE staff to use as reference documents for themselves. They are working on more abbreviated versions that can be actually distributed to or shared with the victims of sexual violence when there's an occurrence. So that's the stand right now. And our Office of Communications is working with us on developing things that we have discussed, like the business card size card that can be handed out. Sarah, do you want to chime in here on what else they're thinking about versus handing over this very large document to a victim? They feel that's more appropriate to be used as a reference for the staff that are working in victim services and in SAFE.
Yeah, I think one of the last times that we were here and showing the final version to this group, one of the suggestions was just having a card with the QR code just directly on it, where the entire document could just be kind of in that one card. So we had kind of brought back some of those suggestions to our communications team. So like Robin said, we do have the larger document has been approved for people who do want to be able to access that larger piece, but then we did break off some of the smaller sections into just some more digestible pieces and have sent those up for approval through the communications team at DPH. So we're just kind of waiting to hear back on that, but we did kind of take your suggestions about having just really kind of streamlining some of even the work that we had kind of streamlined was still a little bit too much and could really even be just brought down to a code on a card that people could then just really upload even more easily and more safely. So that is kind of going through the process of approval right now, but the larger document was approved, and that will be working on kind of getting that through the distribution process. And we'll just kind of let you all know when we get a word on if the smaller ones that we worked on editing were a yes or a no. Go through that process.
So we sent you, I just checked, I can't believe it was back in May, the larger draft document with draft stamped all over it. So you can use it. You wouldn't want to be handing it out with draft stamped all over it. So I guess at this point we can go back and take draft off since it's been approved so that you'll have it at your disposal. And that's about all we have.
Robin, I'm trying to recall that just as a reminder from the last meeting, I think we talked about that this pamphlet will not be printed,
Right.
and it will only be available electronically. Some of the discussion was, did we find a place where that document is going to live online where people can retrieve it?
Yes. We need to check on that internally here. As with everything, it has to be approved to be posted on the website. So we can follow up on that. Then you can pull it from our website.
Because it's not there currently, correct?
Right.
Okay. All right.
Thank you for that reminder.
No problem. I just wanted to make sure. I remember that was kind of a discussion. I didn't know if Beth from the Alliance and you all had an opportunity to kind of touch base. I know we had a little side conversation the last time.
We would still like to also co-host it like we do with the technical guidelines and things like that. We would love to, I mean, it'll refer obviously back to the originator would be the Department of Public Health, but we would also like to share it on our website.
Awesome.
Sure. I mean, the way that the brochure is set up currently, trying to keep in line or be up to speed with all the virtual reality electronics that exists right now. The links, there's only a couple of links in the document, and they all direct the person who clicks on the link to your website, Beth. They all go to the Alliance. So I mean, over a year ago now, we had a directive internally here to set it up so that it drives people to your website as the main hub. So currently that's what it does. For those of you who've been sort of on and not on the process, the original document included multiple resource pages of all the crisis centers and other resources in Connecticut. And we decided that that's not necessary. So those were taken out of the document. They're still kept as a file, but they're not actually in the document anymore. It directs everyone to the Alliance.
Great.
Congratulations, Beth. Everyone's coming to you.
That's how we want it, so we're good.
It gives a focus. The
There
funnel
were
works. Yeah.
I will say that over the past, this year in particular, we repeatedly checked, double checked, triple checked websites, phone numbers, addresses, etc., because there were quite a few that were out of date, don't exist anymore, moved. So that's one thing that you have to be really vigilant for, especially when you're putting them in a hard copy document. Everything is up for grabs these days in terms of sustainability. So driving everyone to the Alliance hopefully will alleviate some of those discrepancies in contact information.
Yeah, and the follow-up that survivors need the most, I feel like. The
Mhm.
support after. So it's really
Mhm.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Robin, for sharing that last time too. I feel like for myself being a little bit new to the commission, that it was one of the first times I had heard that that was the goal or the vision was to funnel towards the Alliance. And I really think it gives people our organizations a unified goal to kind of make sure that that's where we're getting people to. So much appreciated.
Sure.
Does anybody?
We do have in our folder for the brochure the original document that we worked from. I think it was from 1998. It's interesting. In the archives.
It's good to see the history.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you both so much. Does anybody have any questions for Robin or Sarah regarding the DPH pamphlet at all?
Can you just, so I don't think I have the unwatermarked, like the the version that doesn't say draft. Can you share that with us? Because we can also get that up sooner than later. And again, we'll give you all credit and like have a citation back to you, but I'd be happy to get that up now if we can.
Yeah, I can. I just was looking at it and I can get that to you immediately.
Kristen has a question. Go ahead, Kristen.
Hi, I was just wondering, because this was supposed to replace the pamphlet that we physically handed to a patient when we're with them. So if the plan is to have business cards with QR codes, like how is that going to be distributed to everyone? Do we have a plan or ideas for that? I know we had talked about in the future having QR codes on the actual discharge paperwork in the kit.
Well, the business cards with the code, again, that code's going to send everybody to the Alliance, which is, the plan. So those haven't been printed yet. I'm trying to remember. Sarah, did we send that up to Marcom? You're on mute.
I believe everything has gone up to Marcom at this point, but I can double check.
Okay. Marcom is our marketing communications office. And just since there are new people on the call, there's no funding in any of the budgets for printing, which is why we're sort of like, you can print at will if you want to print out the document, that you're more than welcome to do that, but we at DPH don't have a budget item for that. We also didn't want to do mass printing again because things change so rapidly, websites, phone numbers, et cetera, that we didn't want to do a mass printing and then have it be inaccurate in 2 months. So, so if you're going to print, we would recommend you print small amounts.
And then for the QR codes or the palm size distribution items, does DPH have a plan for printing those, or will it be the same process that each of the centers will be responsible for printing their own if they have them for handouts?
Right. I think, Beth, you thought you might have some funding in your budget to do a bigger printing of the cards.
So we have something like this and are can definitely redesign something that is better, that is so we have kind of like general palm cards and we have tear off sheets. Those already have QR codes that go back to things like OVS, the SAFE program, things like that. We are happy to, however, print some additional and or to print ones if there's ones that this group approves that are different, significantly different from the ones that we have. We're happy to help cover the cost of printing them, but also we're happy to give them to survivors that we're working with both in the community and obviously when we're doing hospital accompaniments.
We're learning as we go. So on the QR code, it's not in the brochure. I think that's how we left it. Because the marketing company that designed the brochures, if they put the QR code in, it would belong to them. And they would have to, there's a licensure for it with a fee that has to be renewed. And since the marketing company is out of the process now, the Alliance would need to own the QR code. I don't fully understand it, but it's not a stable function. It needs to be renewed and updated periodically. It belongs to whoever creates it. So, so we didn't put, I don't think we didn't, I have to go back and look in the brochure, but I'm pretty sure we didn't put it in the brochure because we didn't have a home for it. So we would want the Alliance to own the QR code.
So
Which
maybe
it sounds-
I don't know if I fully understand, but I'm very happy to connect off after this meeting.
Sure.
We all the time use QR codes with our communications team, and we use it's not necessarily that it's something that's licensed, but we do use a platform where we can update them intermittently, and the QR code then publicly facing never changes. So I'm super happy to do that. Again, we're happy to host any of it. I'm happy to print some of it. I don't really know where the versions stand that are the shorter versions you're talking about. Our team has not seen those or been a part of any of those like editing review process. But again, we're happy however, whenever you're ready for us to post stuff or however we can kind of step into that process to be, ready to hand things out to survivors or to put things up online, just let us know.
Yeah, we can do that. Like I said, I'm not a technically correct person. So I go by what people are updating us on. So, but it seems that Beth, the Alliance needs to own items like the QR codes, not us here at DPH or the marketing company.
Robin, just for the sake of clarity and for next meeting and next steps related to the pamphlet, I'm just going to kind of restate what I hear will be some of the items, and then you can tell me if this sounds reasonable for next meeting. So number one, sharing the finalized document with the members of the SAFE Advisory Committee. And then two, identifying through DPH a permanent electronic location for that document. So a link can be created and a QR code can be made to that document by the Alliance.
Yes.
Okay. And then I think that's it. The third one, which I think is maybe going to take a little bit more time, is sharing the smaller palm card versions that DPH has created with the group so that we can then have an idea of what those items might be. Would that be possible?
Sure. Yep.
Okay,
Sarah and I are, staying on top of it.
great. Does anybody else have any other questions or concerns before we move on to the next item? Excellent. Thank you guys so much. That was hugely helpful. From what I remember of the document, it was really amazing. And I know you all had put a lot of effort and work into it. So thank you all for that. I did notice that we had two new guests, well, one guest and one voting member join us. So Cindy Theron, one of our legal services deputy directors, is on. And if you want to just say a little introduction, Cindy, if you don't mind,
Oh, gosh.
and then we'll move on to SA Plat. Sorry.
No worries. Well, thank you for letting me join. I work closely with Rachel, Mark, and Melissa, obviously, have followed this program model for quite some time. Really appreciate all the work that you do. And we just continue to be here to support in whatever way, our office can as it relates to the contracts and services. So thank you for letting me join.
Thanks, Cindy. Appreciate it. And Attorney Platt, are you on here? Are you able to say a few words? I'm excited to welcome you back.
Well, thank you very much. Sorry to sign in late, but our MDT meeting. I was kind of stuck in that for a while. But yes, I'm Maureen Platt. I am the state's attorney for the Judicial District of Waterbury, and I'm the chairperson of the the Evidence Committee for the Investigation of Sexual Assaults, having been the Chief State's Attorney designee on that. This is my second go around as that. I was the chairperson of the same committee from about 2010 to about 2021. And I was a member of the Safe Advisory Committee at some point. I don't remember when, probably 2018 or 2019. So it's thank you for including me in the invite. And I look forward to learning even more about this area and getting to know everyone who I haven't met before. I'm in the car, which is why I don't have a camera for the next hour, but I'm listening and I can participate for the radio.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Maureen. I really appreciate it. Do you want me to give an update on the 2025 technical guidelines where we're at as the Evidence Commission, or would you like to go ahead and take care of that?
Yeah. As you are aware, Rachel has tremendous knowledge and has worked unbelievably hard in revising the technical guidelines. We hope to have them approved on the next Monday. We're having a special meeting of the commission. And Rachel, if you want to explain what that means, that would be wonderful. But I know Rachel, Kayla from the lab, other members of the Office of Victim Services, certainly the Hospital Association and Marielle, and other people, Beth Hamilton, have worked diligently on this. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thanks, Maureen. No problem. And you jump in if I say anything that needs a little correcting. No problem. I am so excited that we were able to move these technical guidelines really through to the final version that we have now. We have broken up the technical guidelines into the main body and then the appendices in order to move this document forward, including all of the changes that were made by PA 2529 for the alternative reporting options, adding the reported, the identified, and the anonymous option, and really making more clear what the expectations were to that. Kayla in the lab really should be credited for all the revisions to all of the steps, all of the details related to the evidence collection. Moving that forward has been really phenomenal. So just as Attorney Platt said, we will be voting on the main body of the technical guidelines next Monday, and then the Evidence Commission will be working through the appendices in the hopes of really getting those out as soon as possible. I'm really excited. I think that we will be working in that direction. In addition to that, an update related to the sexual assault evidence collection kit itself. So the CT100C version has been approved. Finalized documents were sent to CERSHI. Both the lab and ourselves received sample kits and were able to review it and then come back together and send those final revisions to CERSHI. We've then received back all of the corrections we recommended and everything looks good. So the next step is really for those CT100Cs to go into production. The purchase order has been sent, so we are requesting that those kits be created. Right now, the lead time that we were told from CERSHI from the time the order gets the go-ahead is 12 to 16 weeks. So no matter what, I know I had said before, my hope was that, maybe we could get them before the first of the year, but it looks like most definitely we will have technical guidelines that are approved and ready to go prior to having those coinciding kits available. So next steps are really to work together with the groups to see, what instructions need to be created to help transition the CT100Bs to be compliant with the technical guidelines, which should be doable. So that's where we are with the evidence kit, and next steps will really be just finalization and continued updates of the estimated date of delivery for those kits. Does anybody have any questions or comments related to the 2025 technical guidelines or the sexual assault evidence collection kit? Great. So hearing none, we're going to move on to the last item before new business, exploring and maintaining a safe certificate. So at the last advisory committee meeting, everyone had come together and said that exploring alternative pathways for safes to achieve their safe certificate and then also maintain it was an idea, a vision that many have supported. We reached out to the safes themselves. The response was minimal. Again, I think there could have been more effort potentially on my part to recruit some of the information and responses, but the responses that we did get back were overall positive. In order to move that process along, I think that we should be coming up with the next steps for implementation, or if a motion should be made to initiate that next steps in developing how could we implement this idea? How could we move forward the safe credentialing? Open to suggestions or any open discussion. I always have ideas myself, but I would love to hear from the group if anybody needs any information or refresher on that item. Okay. So for myself, I believe focusing on how we are going to assess and make recommendations to the Chief Court Administrator for standards related to SAFE is something that we should bring forward in a formal vote and hopefully assess. The next meeting is going to be February 11th. And so to be ready for that meeting and hopefully have a process and a timeline outlined for implementation and how that looks like, I can definitely put that on my plate. Beth, I do have a question. How do you maintain the qualifications for the advocates that are required to do their training yearly, right?
So the member centers, they're required to get training before they become quote unquote certified, which is what we would call it, a sexual assault crisis advocate. They get that training before they're working necessarily with victims, but after they've started either as a staff member or a volunteer with a program. It is then required that you get 6 hours. It's by statute 4 hours. We require 6 hours of training. It's kept on file at each member center, both the certification, the date, when they would pass that exam, and then the annual certification, recertification training that they have taken that meets that 6 hour requirement. Much of it also, quite honestly, like we provide a lot of trainings that meet the recertification training requirement. So oftentimes we also will have, some of that on file with the advocates who attend trainings here at the Alliance.
So it's not one specific class, it's just an hourly requirement. So you have to meet that hourly requirement. So, okay.
Right. And what we say is it's related to their role,
Right.
within so sometimes, if you're working primarily with our member centers have all different, there's always somebody who works with kids, always somebody who works with adults, but they oftentimes have other specific roles. So we say it just has to be related to their specific role as a sexual assault advocate working with victims.
So the member centers are required to maintain the records of the advocates that they have within their member centers to be required to do that, or
right, just both paid and unpaid. So it's interns, volunteers, and staff members, anybody who's considered certified. Yeah. And then honestly, we'll have, we started now requesting at the Alliance that documentation. So each year for our site visits going forward, they will also then be providing detailed lists. Whereas kind of what we've done in the past is have it, made available as requested. We'll now proactively be also having those lists maintained as kind of like a master list here at the Alliance.
Oh, okay, that's great. So you're requiring that each of the member centers maintain their list and then share that with
annually. Yeah. So not ongoingly, just once annually, just because there's a lot of changes, in terms of both just turnover of staff, volunteers, interns. So it would just be once annually that we would have it, but we could request it from them anytime.
Yeah. I wonder if we should be doing that with the hospitals too. Like that's what they should be, the ones that are responsible for maintaining who has the SAFE certification within their facility, have they done their required retraining, and then submitting their list to OVS as rather than us trying to maintain the list for the entirety of the state.
Yeah, we tried, years ago, we sort of were of the same thinking that we wanted to try to maintain that, and just the turnover and kind of like the how often folks are in and out of those roles and how often there's interns and things like that. Like it just wasn't ever an accurate list. At least we feel like we could get an accurate list once annually, kind of to have the same investment of our membership that we have in that record keeping.
Right. I'm pitching at everybody today, but Sarah, I'm also thinking of DPH with licensure. When I was a paramedic, I had a license, and when I would go to renew, it would ask me a question: have you done your CEUs for the year? Is there any option for potentially adding sort of like a SAFE endorsement to licensure where it would be able to be tracked through when people renew their license in that way? Like, have you recertified as SAFE?
That's not really a question I'm not a certified safe. I don't know how the certifications work in that respect. I could research that a little bit for you, but I'm not sure how kind of the certifications work.
No, I mean, it's through us, but the licensure is through DPH, like, right? Isn't it? Like the nursing license, the medical provider license. That's
Yeah,
all
I'd have
through
to go
them
down that
now.
rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't kind of go through me. Robin, do you know more about that? Yeah, that I've never kind of gone down that rabbit hole, but I certainly can.
Well, I get my license to practice through DPH. The license, it's a pretty straightforward paper form that you get in the mail with nothing else on it except this is your application for your license. Have you been convicted of anything? There's some standardized questions, but it doesn't offer any additional information like what you're talking about. It's pretty standardized form.
Sherry?
There's a way to.
Yeah, so as a nurse, like when I do mine, does not ask, there's no space for any certification because I'm certified in other things, and it doesn't, because it's not contingent on your license.
Right.
So it's all automated now. It's really an easy process, but then you have to fill out certain things like your criminal background if you change something changed. But so there is no place for it because it's truly a state like license. And now that we're a compact state, it might be a little bit more challenging to change that type of stuff. But
yeah.
And then Rachel, just to back up, if the hospitals are maintaining it, just the thing is that certain SANEs are not hospital based, right? Like they were employed at different like academics, like they were trying to get involved, and those organizations would not hold. They don't collect anything really. You just need to have a nursing license.
Yeah. I think you make a good point. I was thinking maybe just to reduce the burden if we're trying to increase the numbers and anticipate that maintaining a SAFE certificate and opening it up to the group is really one of those things that's going to grossly increase the number of SAFEs we track. Currently, we're tracking about 240. And those are SAFEs that are following this traditional pathway. I just went on to the Connecticut Nurses Association. If there's 88,000 nurses in the state of Connecticut, and we're talking about other healthcare providers too, maybe it's wishful thinking to think we're ever going to get to those kind of numbers. But as those numbers increase, tracking has become really challenging. And I'm trying to think of different ways where we can still improve those numbers, but then make sure that the people that are applying for credentialing have met the standards that we set. In Massachusetts and some of the other states, they do like an application for recertification, meeting their criteria. That seems to probably be the best way. But we are running into a lot of problem with those hospital-based SAFEs still letting their certifications fall. And if there's somehow we involve their hospital health systems, and just as TNCC, PALS, ACLS, all those criteria are required to be maintained, SAFE should somehow fall into that recertification threshold. If you're sponsoring someone to go, making sure that they're given the time to attend the recertification days. We've expanded them throughout the year to maintain that certification. The other part too is we want to allow more flexibility in having missed a training day. And so one of the questions I want to pose at the February 11th meeting is, are we going to retroactively recognize the training that someone has received as a SAFE? And if we are, how far back is it going to go? Because currently, if you've received the 40-hour didactic training and you've missed one annual competency day, which I've gotten several emails because our last recertification day is tomorrow, and people are telling me about family members that have passed away and and other challenges that make it impossible for them to come to that training tomorrow, they say, if I don't go tomorrow, am I not going to be as safe next year? And currently, that's the case. If they miss this last training in this last year, then next year they would not be able to continue on with their certification, and it would drop off whenever their 3-year mark would end. Now, that is what we're trying to prevent. We're trying to create some sort of standard. So I don't know if we should look to institutions of higher education that say, you know, if you've taken a course in 6 years or 4 years, if it falls within that 6 years, it's still good. You just need to have your recertification. Is that one annual competency day attendance? What does that look like? So that they don't have to do the whole the whole 64-hour training class again. But what does that look like? And the reason why it's really important for us to do it this year is because we're changing the kit and we're updating the technical guidelines, and we're doing a lot of robust education in this coming year. So getting everybody on board this coming year, if we have a decision and we can move forward, really gives us an opportunity to kind of get a lot of people up to speed with the new kit and the new technical guidelines. Go ahead, Kristen.
Hi, it's Kristen. So I just wanted to clarify, because I know everyone gets confused between certification and actual credentials, because the SAFE certificate that you get through the program is you take the course and you become certified. It's a 3-year certification, and you're, you know, deemed a safe nurse, meaning that you've taken the training. It's kind of like when we get our BLS, our basic life support certificate, you have to renew it we have to renew it every year, but for certificates, you have to renew them at a certain time, and there's certain things that you have to do to be able to renew it. So I think it's a great idea that there's other ways to renew it other than just going to this one annual competency day. Maybe we could create a test or something that if someone falls out of it, that, you know, they have other ways to renew. Because having just one way to renew might be hard for some people, although you do give them ample choices and time for this. I just feel like it's like any of the other certifications that we need to do, that you need to make time for it if you want to keep up your certification. Like if BLS, if you don't get what you need within that year, you do have to take the whole course over. So to have alternate pathways instead of just one thing might be helpful, but I do think that people need to take responsibility for themselves and do what they need to do if they want to recertify.
Yeah, you make a great point, and I think that's the question posed is how long is too long? When's not enough?
Right.
Because we're being told now, like the standard is now, if you miss one, there's no incentive to keep going. There's no incentive to keep going to get training or more because you're just done. So providing an alternative. So what is too long? Is it 5 years? Is it 4 years? If they've done 2 trainings and then missed last year, can they recertify next year? So I think that's the important thing, is really seeing what's the standard from the initial education to a recertification, or have they maintained that standard simply by doing one annual competency day in the last 3 years? You know, is that enough? Right? Sherry, go ahead.
Also, I wanted to differentiate between the certificate and a credential, being the SANE through the International Association of Forensic Nurses. That's a credential where you put letters after your name. It's not the same as their certificate, but a lot of people get confused. They think that if they get the certificate that it just gets confusing. So, but even for your credential, the SANE A or SANE P for pediatrics, is the same thing. You have to get CEs or other things to renew your credential. And again, if that falls off, you know, you'd have to retest if it's not within that 4-year period or 3-year period that we get.
Right. Sherry?
So in nursing, I mean, there's a million different certificates and credentials, and if you fall out of it, that you need to redo it. So I just think that people need to take the responsibility, and if they want to recertify, they need to do what they need to do.
Yeah. I appreciate that, Kristen, truly. Sherry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to piggyback on that, actually. all of our national certifications all have like a few years, and you are required to upload evidence that you've renewed it and to continue your certification. So if it's 3 years, 2 years, but there's also different avenues. So if you want the in-person, or is it like, the modules that you could do online, view it, take, competencies. I mean, that's a lot of people are used to that now, especially post-COVID, that's one of the most popular ways. And so they maybe can't get time off, but it's something that they value. They've gone through this certification. They don't want to change. They don't want to lose it. So they would do it on their off time, looking at these modules, taking an exam, and then uploading their certificates. So there's a validation, and it could end on, the end of the year of every year or something. But that's a very common thing for all of our nursing certifications through the NLN, through the ANCC, like all of that. So it's not, if majority of them are all nurses, and if they've already had another certification, they would be very used to that process.
Thanks, Sherry.
So.
Sherry, do you have any thoughts about the duration or accepting previous trainings? So in applying your knowledge about the other certifications to SAFE, what are your thoughts?
I mean, usually it's up to 5 years, so 4 or 5 years, but 3 years, I mean, if that's what currently it is, I mean, that's what I'd say is annually you can show, so some of the national certifications that I have, you have to show that you are competent, like every year you've done something. So, it could be one CEU of it, or you could, you have to attend one thing, but it's like over a 3-year period that you're trying to hit something. Because everyone is busy, and I mean, it's very important to stay competent. But just like BLS, as we said, TNCC, all that, it's not just 1 year.
Right.
And that's really hard. And not everyone could do something in person.
Right.
If an emergency comes up, really, what do you do? I mean,
right.
If it's a 1 day. So that's what I was thinking of online modules or something like that as well, to do different choices.
Right. Well, thanks, guys. I really appreciate all that. To just put it on my plate, as I did with DPH. So for the February 11th meeting, I will put together some sort of proposal or process timeline in implementing this, and hopefully put to a vote should we move forward with adjusting this process. Any input moving forward, even if it needs time, but implementing this next year would be really optimal as far as utilizing all the trainings we have planned to bringing all the SAFEs up to speed, and making sure that everyone is knowledgeable and credentialed in doing this exam. So I look forward to any thoughts anyone might hear. Please, you don't have to wait till the next meeting to reach out, but definitely important for that, and I'll work to put those things together. Does anybody, before we moved on to new business, does anybody have any other questions or comments related to exploring or maintaining a SAFE certificate?
Rachel, Mark, and do you have thoughts at this point about the competency day being delivered virtually? I was appreciating just the hours that we typically find with the medical professionals who are SAFEs, and I know you frequently, Rachel, host trainings, 6 p.m. knowing that's when shifts end. So have we ever talked about virtual options, especially too the distance too, to reoffer Wethersfield as a one location?
Yeah, so I think that virtual options are a new kind of discovery for the judicial branch. So I'm hopeful, and I think that that would be a really good opportunity for the next training manager to really dig their teeth into how to create those opportunities. I'm grateful for all the other units within our office that are doing those kind of things. Like, that is definitely something that is needed and appropriate, and then could potentially reduce the in-person burden on some of the staff, create some flexibility for those SAFEs to maintain, and then really have a standard way of tracking. Like, when you are accessing those videos, there should be some sort of means of identifying that they've been watched, and maybe As Kristen suggested, a small cognitive assessment at the end to make sure that the key points of the material have been retained. Those are sort of standardized things that are able to be easily tracked. I love that idea. I think it's definitely things that can be worked towards.
Yeah, and I mean, I was thinking virtual in terms also, we should, I mean, for consideration, the competency day, but being performed virtually, not like a recorded presentation, but that idea came to mind. Just to see like how to like retain the rigor that we want, but adjust components of the minimum requirements. I really like the contributions people are making about setting a horizon of 2 or 3 years within which these minimum requirements must be met. Because we have competency days 11 months out of the year, Rachel. So if you have a commitment and we offer once a month, 11 times a year, that day or time may not work, and we could be unwittingly losing people whose service is critical given the level of need and the capacity. And also, I think isn't OVS in somewhat of a difficult position because of the sort of contact information that we're retaining. People's information may change, especially with the frequency of people pivoting to no longer working for one hospital, but rotating.
Yeah.
Per
Correct.
diem, that we could easily lose information, not get updates. It's we don't offer, as far as I know, like a login, credentials for updating information. We're basically contacting people, and they're living very busy lives. I also am very intrigued at the idea of enabling participants in this, and sort of this may veer into the safe response. Maybe this is something we could pilot on the safe response side, but for that cohort of response safes, they are required to attend a monthly virtual quality assurance training. I think it'd be really interesting to explore the development of policy and procedure and standards for training that might qualify for quality assurance. And maybe we could explore that on the safe response side and then incorporate that into the safes who are located in their own hospitals. Similar to CEU, we'd recognize the limitations of our own ability to produce live or recorded or virtual training opportunities, but by creating a level of rigor. Maybe the IAFN would help us too to find them. So it's almost like we're giving people more opportunities to succeed. We're not relaxing the standards or the rigor, but we're recognizing the changing nature of healthcare and the fact that this is a position we want to keep, not lose. And if you lose your certification, you start all over again. That means you have to get sponsorship from your ED director to spend 40 hours plus at a didactic and even more clinical. That's so much to ask. So I think it's a shame. I know you were saying, Rachel, that you didn't get as much a response as you'd like from the contract safes, but I think there are different ways we can gather input and information and just look at you've done a great job increasing the number of active safes in the response program. I think it could be a great way to really understand from a group of safes, a cohort of safes that we are very much more familiar with, and then try to apply that more broadly and widely to the safes who are not in the response program, but are doing the work across the state. Because I think you just have access much more and knowledge and connection. So
we actually we did both. So we screened our cohort and the hospital cohort, and we did get feedback from both groups. That was great information. And I do feel like there's positive responses both ways. Two of the things that I hear from you that I agree with 100% is that right now we're looking at response program safe standards are not the same as hospital-based standards. I really do feel like they should be equal. Whatever standard we're holding for safes across the state, whether they're involved in the response program or they're involved in, the hospital program, having those standards be equal is really the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Maintaining your certificate, whatever it looks like, really needs to be just a set group. And again, that does mean potentially reducing the quality assurance meetings or expanding other options. I love how you mentioned the IFN, utilizing their resources, their free resources that are nationally recognized in standards as potential opportunities to provide education to groups that are there is huge. And so I don't want to stop talking about this, Mark, if you have more, but it kind of transitions into new business as well. I recognize we only have about 15 minutes left. For me, I really appreciate. Does anybody have any other comments or concerns related to maintaining a safe certificate? Go ahead, Kristen.
I think we had talked about this before, that because right now for the people who are not in the SAFE program, it's obviously harder for them to maintain their certificate, because us that are in the SAFE program, we are automatically renewed because we're in the SAFE program. We go to our quality assurance meetings. But I think you had opened up the quality assurance meetings to all SAFEs in Connecticut, at least some of them. So if we made the standard of renewing your certificate in the 3-year period of attending so many of those meetings, plus they can submit hours, they can submit CEUs, and maybe 1 annual competency day in the 3 years, or whatever you decide be the standard, then that would be great if you could build something just like we have for our other certifications, where you in your 3-year period, like when I renew my certified emergency nurse, we have to upload our credits that we did, our hours of this, that, teaching, whatever. Like, this is the proof that I've done the things to maintain my certificate, and then it's granted. So that would be great if there was something where they could sign in and do it themselves, rather than you having to literally keep track of it.
Right. I'm sure Janet
Another
is clapping
project for the OVS to build.
Go ahead, Mark.
Kristen raises really good points. And I was thinking that I was sort of embracing utilization of the free IAFN videos. I was thinking that someone in the back of my mind, I was thinking could say, well, that's not Connecticut specific. Well, maybe there's a way we could build a requirements that would involve in Connecticut specific versus national, because it seems beneficial to get a view of the national landscape, national best practices, as well as a Connecticut specific. And maybe there's a role too for some credentialing that could be, some hours that could be met by alliance trainings. There are so many free ones throughout the year that would be helpful, and other things we could constitute so that there would be, again, more options to meet a set standard that would be consistent for all safes.
You make a great point. OVS compensation trainings, all the different modalities that really create opportunities for our SAFE to have more knowledge to connect with care, victim services, aftercare, all those things. So such a good idea. With respect to time, I don't want to start my new business topic at the close of the meeting, but does anybody else have any other new business topics that they would like to bring forward? Even if we don't bring them to full conversation this meeting, we can add them to the agenda for next meeting. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for everything that you all have brought to this meeting. Robust conversation, great ideas. I will add the what Mark has already kind of touched on is a discussion around potential external trainings, including IFN and other partners and stakeholders as an agenda item for the December 11th meeting as new under the new business to kind of continue that discussion with more time. But I would like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second your motion.
Thank you, Beth. All right, all in favor, I guess.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Well, thank you all. We'll adjourn the meeting at 3:20 p.m. And with the 10 minutes back in your day, have a wonderful rest of your week. And thank you all so much. We'll see you all again on February the 11th to start our next meeting, the first one of the new year.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.